¿Qué pasa, campeones? And welcome to the Churros y Tácticas Podcast. My R's are almost failing on me. We're here on this beautiful Monday, December 20th. It's the last one before the holiday season kicks off. And what better way to get this last podcast in than with a massive, massive weekend in La Liga Santander. We had some big one, folks. We had Rayo, who just continues winning, moved their way up into, fourth in the league standings. We had big games for Real Sociedad and points against a much needed team in desperate need points in Villarreal. That was a great game. That Sevilla, of course, taking one step closer to being contenders, title contenders. The only one keeping pace with Real Madrid by beating Atletico 2-1. And finally, of course, Athletic Club, that is, and Betis as well, duking it out. Athletic having to make a comeback, 3-2, winning their game. But, ladies and gentlemen, with the permission of Getafe getting that late winner against Osasuna, allowing them to leapfrog their way out of the relegation zone, and with the permission of Cádiz, who walks away with a point from the dreaded Bernabeu, snatching a few points away from the league leaders. It's the Gavi Show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not beat around the bush any longer. Welcome to the Gavi Show! Much needed 3 points and they come now again, mighty Elche. Oh, Elche, who did make life very difficult for us indeed. Oh,
how many V's did you roll there?
Gavi, baby, Gavi.
How many V's?
There's no victory, Kiyan. Easy victories in Can Barça these days, Kiyan. Not even against Elche, but we did it. We got the 3 points in.
Congratulations.
And, excuse me. Wow. My throat.
You okay? All right. Well,
yes, getting a little choked
well,
up.
You catch your breath, and I will just let all of our listeners know that today's episode is brought to you by Manscaped. So all of the juicy talking points that Diego just mentioned, 4 to 5 massive games that had huge implications in the title standings, title race, maybe not so much, but certainly in the jostle for top 4, top 5, top 7. And it's all brought to you by Manscaped. Use code CHURROS upon checkout, CHURROS. Look, the holidays are coming up. Diego has 2 children. I have 2 children. That's 4 churrito niños who need food on the table. So if you want to support us, you want to help us get a little bit, some more cash, because for sure we're not making a living off of churros, that's for sure.
This sales pitch of
You like it? It's the guilt trip. It's the guilt trip. When you bring our kids,
it's the guilt trip. You always do that. Use that tactic. Is that an Irani thing? Is that an Iranian tactic to kind of throw your kids in the mix and be like, hey?
I think it's less an Irani thing and more of just a greasy person thing who's crying like a victim. But I wanted to ask you, do you think Gavi has hair on his pubes? Like, does he have hair on his balls yet? To the Manscaped? To borrow one from the great Alfredo Di Stefano, have his balls dropped yet? I would say yes, given what we saw against Elche.
I think that's a fair point. I think, yes, mind you, he's just 17 years old. At 17, I was pretty puby, I think. Yes, for sure. I started breaking hair pretty early. I remember amongst my friends, I was one of the early birds, let's say. But Gavi looks like, if he hasn't, he's definitely grown his first pubes now. My goodness. For all those doubters, no longer. This kid is the real deal. It's such a pleasure to see him watch, Kiyan. Even as a Madridista, you being the connoisseur and aficionado of the game of football, I know you appreciate game when you get smacked around the face with it. And in Gavi, we have a really, really very interesting player indeed, who continues to shine. Mind you, 17 years old, taking the team on his shoulders and pulling moves that remind us of the legends that have been before him. I
genuinely love it. I'll tell you that. I genuinely love what I see from him. I love his positioning
Of
between the
course.
lines. I love his vertical passing. I love the way he escapes pressure. I love his silky touch. I love how smooth he is on the ball. Gorgeous goal. Obviously, he can score goals. I think like
His
from
first goal. First goal.
first goal, if you were to build a young Barcelona protege to fit what you guys love in terms of what you want to see stylistically, he's so far, and he's 17. Look, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be growing pains. I'm sure there's going to be moments. I don't think like Frenkie got booed on the weekend, and I don't.
Yeah.
So like, no matter how great you are as a young player, you're not necessarily immune to it. But from what I see so far, I'm really impressed. I really liked what I saw against Elche, and obviously this is a team that is just decimated on all fronts. They're struggling. The morale is low. They're missing players, and there's
It's
not
the young
that
guns
much.
right now.
Yeah, it's the young guns carrying the team, and I think that's probably part of the silver lining in all this is that all of a sudden you have these really good players you can potentially build around. So it's congrats, man. Hey, look, I don't think the performance in Barcelona as a whole was something that you're necessarily going to applaud and cheer about, but there are things within the game that you can be happy about. On one hand, you had the Gavi show. On the other hand, it's like what I have a lot to say about like Ter Stegen and Eric Garcia and these guys, but
Of course.
it's but so that is kind of like the yin and the yang of Barca right now. There's good young players rising, and there are just some other things that like make you scratch your head. And Ter Stegen has been like that for a while now. So what were your thoughts? Like when it was 2-2, did you feel uneasy? Like how were you living through that game?
Yeah, absolutely. Very uneasy. And I'm very curious to hear your take indeed, because I was very impressed. I liked what I saw from this team, obviously, in the opening half, in the first
Sure.
45
Yeah.
minutes in particular. And, the goals just were basically a testament of things that were being done very, very well. Gavi, Xavi, rather, in the pre-match pre-match press conference, talked about how surprised he was that some of these players don't understand basic positioning on the field. Basic positioning, or that the spacing that they get taught from a very young age at the Masia ranks already. So and not all, obviously, players from outside that have come in straight to the first team, let's say, you would have at least thought that they would have had a basic idea of that similar sort of spacing and positioning that maybe you get taught in an Ajax. We have several players with Ajax backgrounds. And we don't know neither who, of course, he's referring to, but we can all draw our own conclusions based on a statement that he reiterated several times. So it's a point that he's trying to bring home. And clearly the young guns right now understand what Xavi wants from them, and others don't. And, the public express their opinions, towards some of these players at this point in time. I think a lot of these players know that they can do better as well, and should demand, and I know will also demand better from them. And it's quite, what stood out to me is how Xavi reiterated how surprised he was, right? So you wonder why these players are not understanding basic positioning, strategical plays that Xavi is trying to basically have this team execute. And you wonder if it's because of the bad habits that have grown onto them in these years that they've been with Barca, these past 3, 4, 5 years that they've been with Barca, where maybe other managers who have been exactly that, just subpar and not drawn or not, say, loyal or faithful to the idea that you talked about before as well, about Barca playing a very particular and specific style of football, right? Not training that more in the ground. So I'm digressing here a little bit, Kiyan. I'm probably going off topic.
Look, I think Xavi's press conference was definitely something I wanted to bring up today too, because believe it or not, today for the first time, Xavi's quotes made it to the Managing Madrid website, because he talked about Real Madrid as well. So that was thrown in there. He
All
talked
right.
about the gap in points. He talked about the Casemiro controversial challenge yesterday. Only got a yellow card, etc. But very diplomatic, by the way. He has not yet raised our blood pressure.
Xavi's a good guy. I don't know why you guys. He's a good guy.
It's inevitable. So some
Listen,
fire.
truths have to be spoken, and sometimes it hurts. And Madridistas,
No,
I can say this from experience, are a sensitive type. So it's easy to press your nerves. Anyway,
We're not going there right now. Listen, I'd be curious, like, to the point of like he is surprised that some of these young players maybe don't understand. Did he specify?
no,
young
I don't think
players?
he's referring to young players.
Oh, okay. So do you think he was referring to the players who were, let's say, quote unquote, outside of those Ajax, Barca youth teams?
Possibly.
Okay.
I think maybe he's more referring to the ones coming from an Ajax.
Okay.
And these are based on my own. We're left to draw conclusions on our own. I think he's referring to probably a very specific select group of players that are playing subpar at the moment and should know better and should understand, I guess, what Xavi's trying to get from them. I don't think he's referring to the young players, because the young have been excellent, from Nico to Jutgla now as well, scoring goals, to Abde, to obviously Gavi as well, and what is still to come from Pedri. We know that they are right now carrying the team. Pedri, of course, not included. He's injured, I understand, but we have know that when he comes back, have an immediate impact. And I think he's calling out a very specific group of players that should probably know better and maybe have fallen. That's why I'm trying to understand. Does it come from the coaches? Is it because Koeman didn't practice? Is it because Quique Setién spent the time that he did? But Valverde has just been absent from the first team trainings, where even players that are fit this kind of mold and are used to playing that specific, call it Barca, call it Ajax DNA, whatever it might be, that should know under Ten Hag, that the players under Ten Hag will understand what Xavi would be trying to get of them, and vice versa. When we talk about certain coaches fitting certain clubs and maybe systems better, that's what we refer to, right? So I say too much. I said too much. This is a Monday pod, and I don't want to get in over my head on this topic.
It means you're passionate about the subject. I'd be curious, like, if let's say if I was like a Manchester City beat writer, for example, one of the questions I'd like to ask Pep is like, hey, look, Xavi said he is surprised that a lot of players or some players maybe don't understand some of the positional things that he wants to implement.
Right.
What was your experience when you came in? Did you how much of the squad did you feel weren't on the same page, and you were surprised that they couldn't figure out right away too? I just wonder. I'm curious to know, like, what would there be a discrepancy in those numbers? Was it similar to when Pep arrived? I'm just curious about like the task ahead. That's all. But one of the interesting things that Xavi said today was, he was talking about Frenkie's role, and he said, look, Frenkie, I took him off because he was going up the field too much. And Frenkie is not meant to do go back and forth as a box-to-box midfielder. I'm paraphrasing, but he did say that Frenkie is at his best when he's playing deeper and making plays from a deep position. And I kind of wonder, and I was looking at, kind of just trying to put it together in my head. You guys play Sevilla tomorrow in a massive, massive game. And I'm just trying to what will Xavi do with the lineup? Because, there are some of the lineup struggles will be there tomorrow as well. And who will start in midfield? Like, Busquets will, yes, for sure. Gavi will, yes, for sure. The third one is will it be Frenkie again? Because I think it probably makes more sense to put Nico in there at this point. And I wonder if Xavi sees Frenkie, he'll start seeing Frenkie more of the Busquets sub. The guy who maybe will displace Busquets long term and for now just be his backup. Does that make sense to you? I don't know. I'm just kind of
it's 100%
thinking out loud right now, but
Frankie's played that position in a pivot role with the Dutch national team. In Ajax as well, he played deeper than he did, than he does now at Barca. So, excuse me, Is a burp coming up? No, it's not. Okay. No, it is. Sorry.
Churros.
And I think that coaches in the past have also complained that at Barca that he's playing out of position basically. I think that I've always had faith that Frenkie could adjust to a more offensive playmaking role, even if he drops in a little bit deeper, but still has a more offensive focal point, let's say, in intention, because he can score goals as well. He actually can score goals. But we're maybe it would not be a bad idea at this moment in time for Xavi to actually keep him on the bench so that he has some perspective and even assign him to a role as specific and maybe as he is used to from his previous positions with his other teams to play as a Busquets substitute, which Busquets is going to need to come off. But, Busquets, I think you can ideally, I think you would use him 60%, maybe 70%. It depends. I mean, if you get Busquets, the way he plays for the Spanish national side or, that level Busquets, 100% Busquets, it's you can't get anybody better, especially for what Xavi is looking for and that's style that he wants to play. But given his age, given his kind of inconsistency as well at some points, it's not always prime Busquets that you get. Have him play 67%. Now, is Frenkie enough to play him just at 40, 30%? Xavi's going to have massive pressure hanging on him to leave a 75 million euro player on the bench and just use him 30, 40% of his time. Obviously, he needs to be used. Now, here the question comes, where's the priority now? Is it at this moment in time? I think you want to give way to the players that do understand what Xavi wants from them. That's why I'm saying that when Pedri comes back, I have no doubt that he's going to be slotted into that starting 11, and we'll probably see a better Pedri than we've seen in a long time with Barca in particular, right? I'm not talking about what Lucho gets out of Pedri, but and that's a very high standard Pedri that needs to be in the starting 11. So you have Pedri, you have Busquets, and you can't take off Gavi. Are you going to play with a midfielder 4? You can 3 in the back, of course. We've seen that already. We saw it last game, right? Longley, Garcia, and Araujo playing in the mid. But so you're going to play a 3-4-3. You try to squeeze Frenkie in there. You play with 3 in the back and 3 up front will be Ansu, Memphis, and Dembele. Listen, on paper, it's not bad, huh? It's not bad, but I think it all depends. You're doing justice to Nico, as you mentioned as well. And then Nico, and again, this is the crazy thing, Kiyan, and I'll finish just saying this. You're talking about Barca, the first team, the Barca A team, is being led right now by the B team. You have Gavi, officially a B team player. Nico, officially a B team player. Abde, Jutgla, same deal. You have Ilias, but let's just leave it at those guys, right?
Okay.
Those are B team players, man. And Gavi's actually really liking and getting more production out of them than, some of the first team players.
So, I mean, this leads into a bigger discussion. Here, let me ask you this question. I already know how I feel about this, but I'm just wondering what your perspective would be. Let's say tomorrow's game, the roles are flipped, and Barcelona are at the top of the table, and Real Madrid are 16 points behind, and Real Madrid plays Sevilla tomorrow, who are direct rivals to you. Would you look at that game and think to yourself, I kind of need Real Madrid to win that game because Real Madrid are not our direct rivals? Or would you say,
Obviously.
Real Madrid, I don't give a fuck, I just want them to lose?
Oh, no.
No, to be honest.
Well, look, if they lose, I get a little pleasure. No, watching Real Madrid lose is always pleasurable, always satisfying. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. However, given the context, you want Barca to win, obviously, and I would want Real Madrid to win because I'm not stupid. But,
okay, well, let me look. Okay. My feeling is, and I've thought about this, believe it or not, I think about this stuff a lot. To go to bed. I'm like that meme, like the meme where the wife is in bed with the husband and she's like, he's probably thinking about other girls. And then you go to my brain, it's like, what would Barcelona fans think? Would they want Real Madrid to beat Sevilla, or would they want Sevilla to win in that situation? So I thought a lot about this last night when I was falling asleep. I want Sevilla to win because I think Barca are going to get better. First of all, if I would love Barca to miss out on Europe. That's one thing. The other thing is
you are a cruel motherfucker, man.
I'm very evil, man. Very
on
very
Europe,
bad,
even. Not you don't even grant us the Europa League. God
sure, get into Europa, fine. But out of the Champions League zone. And I actually, looking at it, they're only 3 points back now. And I just don't...
Yeah, I know.
Forgive me for saying this, Sevilla fans. I just don't trust you to be neck and neck for the title race by the time the springtime rolls around. Yeah. But I actually feel like Barca will climb their way out of it. And I say that because I don't... Again, all due respect to the amazing work that Rayo Vallecano have done. And Real Betis.
Fantastic.
Both of those teams, fantastic. Real Sociedad have already fallen off a cliff. I don't remember the last time they won it. It hasn't been in the past 5 games. Atletico are free falling.
Against Villarreal.
I just and Barca have Pedri and Ansu coming back soon too. League. And that's gotta be factored in. That's gotta be factored in. It's gotta be
worth something.
Yeah. I'm not saying Barca will make up 16 points.
We're coming for you. We're gonna get you.
I also don't if Sevilla win tomorrow, I'm not gonna be that upset about it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm happy. Hey, this sounds good. This is positive. I'll take this as a positive and as a compliment.
Yeah,
you still fear us enough. You fear Barca breathing down your neck. Even at a 16, 18 point gap, you still before going to sleep. You still.
Well, if you remember...
you have a nightmare. All of a sudden, you fast forward a few months. It's May, and all of a sudden, it's a 2-point gap on the last match day. I don't know who you're facing. And we actually in with a shot to win the title. Hey, we've seen it happen on 2002-2003 season, folks. Go look it up. 2003-04 season. Well, first year of Dino. At where? How big was the gap at in the Christmas? I'm gonna look this up. How big was the gap? 2003.
I don't know. There's too many things to remember in football.
No. But I'm gonna look it up when you're talking. I'm not gonna be rude and start fucking typing away while we're guests.
But listen, I was gonna say
2003. No, wait, hold on. Let me just finish it. Then you jump in. 2003, 2004 season.
You wanted me to talk, and you were gonna look it up.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say. I'm sorry. The gap was I think 16 points. Quote me on that, or I'll double fact check. At the end, on the last match day, after Davids comes in, we get Davids, so we acquire Davids in the winter transfer market. Till the very last match day, we're in with a shot to win La Liga. Or it might be until 2 match days.
Okay.
I'm going to look it up. But remontamos 16 puntos. We did a 16-point comeback. And in the end, we missed out, obviously.
Did we win the league title that season?
I'm going to say no.
This is the 02-03 season?
But this is Valencia, right? Valencia wins the league.
Oh, okay.
Did they win? Right?
I'll tell you, no, Real Madrid won. Real Sociedad came second that season. I think that was the Xavi Alonso year.
Okay.
What would that? Oh,
why did I say Valencia hasn't won a league title in forever? I mean, why did I say that?
Didn't they? And remember, was it this season where?
Yeah, with Benitez. Benitez, they won back-to-back league titles. That was that season, right?
03?
No, 03, 04.
Oh, 03, 04. Okay, gotcha. Oh.
Yes.
Remember was it this season when I was like, I don't trust Valencia? I feel like I'm vindicated. They've won a couple games in a row now, but they definitely were never going to sustain what they achieved at the beginning. The example I was going to bring forth was the season where Zidane came in halfway season and we were 11 points behind you. It wasn't it was past halfway mark. It was in January or something, right? And I think we cut it to 1 by the end of it. So look, we've seen comebacks. I'm not saying you guys are going
We've
to
seen
make that
comebacks.
16 points, but I'm not saying it's impossible that you guys will be closer to us than Sevilla will be in March, April. That's all I'm saying. Um, I just FYI,
It's a heck of.
we have a couple Patreon questions, so just make sure to remind me, please, before the podcast ends, that we have to talk about that. Do you want to talk about Real Madrid Cadiz or Atletico Sevilla? Like, which way do you want to go here? How do you want to?
Let's talk about. Yeah, let's transition. I would say let's talk about Atletico Sevilla, seeing as that was the real juggernaut and had the biggest impact on the league as well, because it of course left Atletico at the Champions League spot, and whereas Sevilla makes a jump closer to or keeping pace with you guys, right? So that's why I would have expected you to still. I mean, I get what you're saying with Sevilla not keeping up the pace because that's what we are used to from them, right? However, I would imagine the more space, the bigger the gap you can increase right now with your closest contender, because Sevilla's looking, quite frankly, I mean, good for now. Look, and they don't forget that they've been building. I mean, this has been a project in the making since Lopetegui arrived there, which is how long now? Is that this is the third season, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
So Sevilla are gonna if they have a chance. This is it. Listen, I'll just say this. More than any other year, and I know that we've said this in the past, but Atletico's been the one. Now that Atletico's also dropped off, if there's any season where Sevilla would have real title hopes, it has to be this season, because despite the fact that Real Madrid is very solid and continues to march forward, even though of course a setback against Cadiz, no points, but it's a point. I mean, sorry, no 3 points, but it's a point nonetheless. Sevilla being the only ones keeping pace. With Madrid, of course, also having their focus in the Champions League, the games against PSG, etc., they at least need to have it with the objective of, say, come April, May, we have to be in there with it. We need to be there with a handful of points, or like 3 points, as little points as possible, to at least hope for a step up of Madrid and be able to capitalize on something what we weren't able to capitalize on was it last season? Right, last season when we were we had a 4-legged horse race title where Sevilla was also still in there with a chance to. Like, they want to be one level up, better, in a better position come crunch time to potentially win La Liga, at least contend for it until the very last match day. And I genuinely think that Lopetegui has been working with this team, and I credit him as a coach and the players as well to be talented and skillful enough to at least be able to accomplish that. I know that the narrative usually is Sevilla just can't keep the pace. Well, maybe this is the year where they can. Maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year. At least that's how they see it. That's how. If I'm Lopetegui, I'm stuffing this message down their throat to make them believe that this is our year. This is the year where we, are going to compete until the very last match day. We are going to make Madrid stumble and fumble, and we're going to snatch it and run away with the league title. Because if they don't capitalize it on it this year, then just forget about it. Because it is going to be Barca, Real Madrid, very soon once the Mbappés and the Haalands come, one to Barca, one to Madrid.
I like it. I like the Sevilla optimism, and I would like to believe that that's true. And like you bring up a good point. We've always said like we need Sevilla to stop being this team that changes 22 players every season. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but like they do wholesale changes. They're still very good, and it's very impressive, but they sustain it. But like, we would love to see just Sevilla go into this mode for a few years where they keep building on top of what they're getting. And Lopetegui's done an amazing job of that. And you look at this summer, they didn't have an exodus. I mean, they lost Bryan Gil, which was a disaster for all parties involved. A disaster for Bryan Gil, Sevilla, who could have
How's he doing?
Not good. I mean, he's not playing.
Not good.
He's not playing. So anyways, but like, they brought in Rafa Mir, they brought in Delaney, who had, a good game on the weekend. So Lamela, obviously, on a free. So I think maybe this is the year, and they held on to Koundé. addition by subtraction, getting rid of Luke De Jong. He does not because
something is something.
Is just a little bit better. So yeah, look, I like the take. I would like to think that you're correct. And certainly,
if you have a Rakitic that is as consistent as he is, sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, Rakitic was what a goal, crazy goal.
Goal. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. And if you have these kind of players, just, have a very consistent, let's say, output, because that's what it prizes in the end, Liga, right? It's consistency. Some people don't place importance or value to it. Others do, such as coaches as you like, Zidane and Pep. It's the most important competition. If these players, if Lopetegui can get this kind of consistency from their players in a year where Barca is out of the race, fifth, dropped out of the Champions League, your closest competitor is Rayo. They've got to take this opportunity. And like I said, despite Madrid's consistency and ability to continue to pick up points, it's not the best Madrid that we've seen either. So it's a weakened Real Madrid from that perspective, where they need to see that as something that they can, capitalize on and benefit from.
Agree. I mean, the amount of parity now from like 1 to 7 is really refreshing. I know we always talk about, quote unquote weaker league, which it is, let's be honest, compared to the La Liga glory days where we were dominating Europe and dominating the Europa League and the Champions League and all that. But the parity is there, and it's also more entertaining in some sense. So
did you enjoy this game? It was a good game. I quite francly, I really did enjoy it.
Great. I mean, just by looking at it on TV when Ocampos, was it Ocampos? Yeah, Ocampos scored at the end. The atmosphere,
fantastic.
The adrenaline, beautiful stuff. I mean, it's peak La Liga football when it got to that stage. And we also had a lot of drama, a lot of storylines. Luis Suarez.
And with Atletico still being able to, Joao Felix pulling out some fucking miracle, like amazing shot as well, still able to almost get the equalizer in the very end.
This happened against Real Madrid too, where they benched Joao Felix and then brought him in the second half, and immediately he did so much more than anyone else at Atletico was doing in the first half. Like, look, Atletico had some. I think Joao Felix is a starter. Like, he's too good to be kind of in and out of the team. That's my opinion. When you look at they had some bad luck too. Llorente going off injured in the first half. Trippier all of a sudden had a harder job on that right flank. Then you had, I don't understand why Luis Suarez is starting at this stage. Cunha needs to be there over him. And then Suarez has the audacity to put in a shit performance and then yell at Simeone when he comes off.
So pissed.
By the way, who wins in a fight? Simeone or Suarez?
Wow, that's a good one. I don't know. I'm not betting against either. I'm not betting against Cholo. Not betting, but you can't bet against Suarez.
I think my money's on Cholo for that one.
I think so, right?
Yeah, I feel like
you just go straight for the gonads. Well, you go straight for the old boss.
Suarez is a lot of bark. But have
then not
actually...
let go. Yeah,
I was going to say Suarez's bark, not bite, but we all know that would be a terrible opinion given the fact that he is literally bite. But I just feel like Cholo would have more substance. Substance.
Yeah.
We'll go with substance.
Yeah.
I just feel like he would come more like ready to murder.
Ready.
I feel like Suarez would kind of shy away from
knife between the teeth.
So Simeone would pull out knives and like stuff like that.
Yeah. He would just go berserk. Yeah. Like straight for the gonads and not let go. Yeah.
Maybe even just he would cut the gonads off. I wouldn't put it past him to go really, really like.
I mean, let's be honest. The fight would be fucking over in 3 seconds, and Cholo would walk away with his balls, and manscape them.
Cholo would have Suarez's balls in one hand and his head in the other hand. Go, ah!
Exactly. Give it to us. So, what else? A lot of more action. Hey, big game between. I'm gonna. Página. I'm going to turn the page and move over to the Athletic Betis. I don't know if you got a chance to see this. It's definitely worth watching the highlights if you didn't. It was a very entertaining match where again, Athletic did get the upper hand. Again, a great Betis and a great Athletic with the fans Both sets of fans are fantastic. I mean, these are just historic clubs. These are the kind of teams that I want to see perform this kind of football consistently, and they have to be always up there, in the upper half, competing for European football. And quite frankly, what we've seen from Betis so far this season has been just really, really good. And enjoyable to watch. Athletic is, what is it now? Actually, 3 points behind us now. I thought they were a little bit up. But you look at that upper half of the league standings at this point, Kiyan. You got Espanyol in 10th, Athletic in 9th, Valencia in 8th, Barcelona in 7th, Real Sociedad in 6th, Atlético in 5th, Rayo 4th, Betis 3rd, Sevilla 2nd, Real Madrid 1st. That's like when you go, you say top 10 classic La Liga teams, or list. Give me a list of 10 La Liga teams. That would be the list of classic La Liga teams that you would list off, with maybe the exception of Rayo. I mean, for me, Rayo Vallecano, make no mistake, and there's no offense to the fans, is un clásico de La Liga. In fact, the first time that I was and I wanted to check this out before the show, because this is not the first time that we see a Rayo competing in that upper half, or even, in the European spots of La Liga in the first half of the season. And it was the first season that they were promoted. And I'm going back to the 98 season. When, this team from Madrid, it was like the third, fourth team from Madrid at the time that I got to know, that looked like they were wearing jerseys, shirts from River Plate, and that were just competing. They were there in second and third for the first half of the season in their newly promoted years. A very similar occurrence to what they have now. So anyway, my point being is I'm taking nothing away from them, but maybe like a Villarreal obviously should be maybe included in that top 10. But it's just from a competitive standpoint, I think it's an interesting league, despite the big gap that Real Madrid, of course, has opened up with his competitors. Aside from that, we're just seeing some good football, Kiyan. We're just seeing some good football.
Just a lot of fun stories.
Yeah,
you
fun story.
mentioned Athletic, if they can just ever get someone who can put the ball in the back of the net consistently. I mean, we finally saw Iñaki score on the weekend, but. And they beat a Betis team and they're playing without Unai Simon and Inigo Martinez, who have COVID. But they beat a Betis team who are flying, and so you get like all these cool stories and the Rayos and all these teams, and the parity. And this is like going back to Sevilla for 1 second here. This is like Real Madrid's best start to a season in years, and Sevilla are right there. They're right there. So like we often, it's easy to overlook Sevilla, and the headlines are always Real Madrid and Atletico. This is the gap. Real Madrid and Barcelona. This is the gap. But no one ever talks about that. There's barely a gap between Real Madrid and Sevilla. Right? They're right there.
Exactly.
Totally. Do you want to take a couple Patreon questions?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you've seen these, but I feel like you'll have fun answering at least one of these. Kimberly Yao, our patron. By the way, if you want responses to questions and access to bonus content, patreon.com/Churros y Tácticas. Our 4 children depend to have, if we put rice on the table for them, we depend on that. So Kimberly says, hey, Diego, it's a question for you. Do you think if one day I just wasn't on the podcast, anyone would notice? They'd be like, oh, was there another guy with Diego on the podcast?
I think the debates have shown that you have the majority of the fans and followers on this podcast. But they just
know that it's someone versus Diego. Do they know it's
No, I'm constantly referred to as the other guy. They're like, the other guy. Kiyan should get rid of the other guy. Fuck the other guy. Fucking fanboy, the other guy over there. Totally not. Come on,
Kimberly says, hey, Diego, where's the best place for a Cule to watch a Barca game while in Madrid?
Sorry, what? Repeat that again?
Where's the best place for a Cule to watch a Barcelona game in Madrid?
The Bernabeu, baby. Go to the Bernabeu. Watch a Clásico in the Bernabeu. That's a good experience. Of course, it depends on the outcome. I've been fortunate. I've watched 2. We won both.
Okay, but I think this question is the context.
Yes, I understand.
Probably
I
she's in
understand.
Madrid and she wants to know, like,
Man,
is watching in Madrid.
not, I lived in Madrid for very, very happy years, for the best years of my life. You'll never hear me say a bad word about Madrid, la ciudad, the city. And the football or the get-togethers that say for culés, the best one has to be the Peña. I don't know if it still exists. It has been a long time. It's been 8 or 9 years now that I moved away. A lot changes, but Google, Peña Blaugrana Madrid, Barça Peña Madrid, then you're rest assured that at least you're watching amongst your own kind, and your screams, yells at the bars won't necessarily be looked at aggressively or in a sideways kind of manner. But then there's plenty of I'll have to look it up. I'm sorry, I didn't see these questions, so I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't give you any names right now. I cannot.
Okay.
Cannot.
Well, maybe you can think about it also and come back next week. I don't really know the
This is a
answer
Patreon.
either.
I can answer her on Patreon, right?
For sure.
I can just message her.
For sure.
Then I will do that. What's her name?
Kimberly.
Really, I will send you names of bars. I will Google it, and I will try to refresh the old noggin and the old mind and see
You lived in Chambéry, right? Is that what you told me a long time
Yeah.
ago? Yeah, that's my favorite place, favorite part of Madrid. It's super, super beautiful.
Oh, it's the best.
People need to go see that part and just walk around instead of just putting their nose in Seoul. I'm kind of like over the whole downtown core where it's just like all tourists. But when you go to like places like Chambéry, I really like Malasaña.
So much fun.
Is the places
Malasaña.
One of the areas I ventured up to. Yeah. Anyways, we have.
Well, listen. I mean, like now that you mentioned Chambéry, what comes to mind? I mean, most of the time I would just watch games at home. Rarely. I mean, when I would get together, let's say with a friend to watch a game at the bar, it would just be at a bar like that we would know. It would not necessarily be like a football, like a sports bar. But the best place, the best times to watch a game, I won't tell you the best place, but the best times is like summertime, because then the seats come out and they actually for the latter stages of the Champions League draws. And that's when you mentioned Chambéry, that's why I want to bring that up. They have the televisions facing outside of the plazas, let's say, so you can, or of course the Euro Cups or World Cups as well. So the plazas, the squares get filled up and we're gonna gather around, watch the game. It's not any bar necessarily. You just go to a plaza square and see where you can actually get a seat because they fill up so quickly. But anyway, I'll get back to our Patreon and DMs.
All right. Well, there's one more. Because I hear kids are hungry. They're like, Bubba, are we gonna get paid?
No, they're fed. I've missed dinner. That's what we do. We miss dinner for the pod.
This last question you're not gonna like as much. Umar Mahadi, our patron, says, can we consider Vinicius Jr. currently the best player in Europe this season? If he continues at this level and wins the Champions League / League or both, would he be a favorite to win one? A Balon d'Or, that is. P.S. How does Ramos versus Puyol or PK sound for future debate? It sounds horrible.
Oh my God. It sounds that would raise some pulses. Question is yes, no doubt. If Vinicius wins everything that our patron just mentioned, give him the golden ball. There's no doubt. If he keeps this up,
I think Messi would win because he probably sneezed in a Paris coffee shop, and they were like, "Wow."
I agree. You just changed my mind. Look at that. The power of the debates.
On a serious note, is he the best player in Europe? I can't give him that label right now because I still think that goes to the Lewandowski, Mbappe, and then you got to bring in the players like the Salahs who just having an amazing season, and you got a lot of great players who are having amazing seasons like Bernardo Silva, for example. I'm not saying Vinicius is beneath Bernardo Silva, for example, but I'm just saying he is not Vinicius Jr. as good as he's been. He's not the de facto best player in Europe this season. If he wins the Champions League and the league, I think we can definitely talk about him along with Benzema as Ballon d'Or candidates for sure. You good to end it there?
Yeah,
barely talked about Real Madrid, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, anything you want to get off of your chest? I felt that it was a penalty.
Which one? I saw you tweeting Churros and saying that.
I thought,
And I bet no one expected that to be you. That's
I know nobody did. I wanted to see. I was like, is this gonna make like get thousands of retweets and likes? Only got 5. Last time I checked, it got 5 likes. I'm disappointed. I was tweeting something to my Madridista brothers and sisters. I get 5 likes.
I think they were
for me. That was a penalty.
Okay. Which one was that? Which one were you talking? Because I don't even remember. I barely remember referee decisions. The big one that I remember is the Casemiro one. But
Benzema cuts into the box and gets like sort of 2 ankle taps almost.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah, there were a couple of those. I mean, the biggest one from that was the Casemiro one, which I remember obviously because that's the one that everyone's talking about. But yeah, look, it probably balanced out in the end because I think there's a case for Casemiro to have been sent off as well.
Of course.
Yeah, do I want to get anything off of my chest for the Cadiz game? Not really, nothing that I haven't already said. Just that, we're decimated. Our right wing is decimated with injuries, and for that reason, Ancelotti before the game said Hazard is going to start not because of the injuries, but because he's earned it, which the lie detector to me says that is a lie. And
okay.
I think that's probably just something that he's probably supposed to say publicly, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. I have no issue with him lying about that, but I'm just saying I just don't buy it. Hazard had a really, really poor first half. He looked a little bit better in the second half because he ventured away from the right wing and started to come over to the left and combine with Vinicius and Hazard and Benzema, that is. Cadiz played an extremely low block, played ultra defensive, and Real Madrid, it was kind of similar to the Sheriff game where it was like if you replay that 100 times, you win that 99 times probably. The XG was almost 3. I think ESPN actually had it over 3. Understat had it at 2.8, and it's just one of those games that you reflect on at the end of the season, and like hopefully it doesn't make the difference between winning the title and not winning the title. And this was almost like we all joked about it. This is the game we're going to finally drop points as Cadiz. Not Atletico, not Athletic, not Sevilla, not Inter. It's this one, and it happened. So credit to Cadiz. There was that whole thing where Cervera apologized to Carlo after the game for playing that way. And I'm like, dude, you have nothing to apologize for. You're Cadiz. Whatever works. You got 2 points. Good for you. I see you squinting, so you probably don't know the context. The context is that Cervera,
no, I get it.
Yeah, Cervera was like, look, I told Ancelotti, like, sorry, like, we have to play this way. So it just, yeah. Oh, one more thing. I asked.
No, I was agreeing. I was squinting because I was agreeing with you. I was going, yeah, of course, they got to get the points that they.
It's because you froze on the squint. So it was just like, just a 10-second squint for me, what I saw. Yeah, there was one more thing.
Is it doing the freezing thing again? I'm sorry, guys. God damn.
I don't know if it was doing it all feed, but it's. I just looked up and it did that. Yeah. Yeah. Quickly, one more thing. We'll end with this, I think.
What?
Just to clarify something, because I actually asked Cervera after the game about.
You got a question on. Sorry, you go.
What he did in the first half to kind of limit the impact of Vinicius and Hazard. And
Hazard, I saw that tweet.
One of the small details that he kind of said in passing in that was we didn't plan anything specifically for Hazard. And I think a lot of people like saw that part of it and like
I saw that part
laughing their ass off. And I don't think it was meant to be like a highlight of the quote. It was something like more like, we had a game plan for Vinny. If we're going to force him out wide, we don't let him cut inside. Let him go out wide as much as he wants and cross it, but we do not let him cut inside and shoot it. And Hazard, we didn't plan anything. And I don't think he meant to be as a dig, because I think a lot of people interpret it as like, man, Cadiz's manager is taking digs at Hazard. He's laughing at us. He has no respect for Hazard. It wasn't. I don't think it was meant to be like that. It was more like in the passing of the quote, he also said, we didn't really plan for Hazard that way. And I think it's more of just like, well, we weren't sure if he was going to play. That's one. And also, he can't really cut in and do damage from the right side anyway. So I just wanted to. I feel like that was just something that I wanted to.
A coach
say.
would never, ever, unless it's something personal, a coach would never humiliate a player in that way. So that's up to the people, the fans, to interpret it, and it's free to interpretation, especially if you just read it or it's translated and you don't,
Yeah.
But he would have. Why is it in his interest to humiliate a player like Hazard like that? They'll be way too humble and respectful to ever do that. So
Yeah.
I don't. But it did read like that. I have to. When I read the
It did.
tweet, it stood out. It stood out. Yeah.
Again, like that is what he said. It was the literal quote. It's just that the way he verbalized it was more of like he kind of just said, "Oh yeah," and Hazard we didn't plan for anything really, but
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, listen. Next show we have two massive games to talk about. Massive games, and I don't know. So, do you want to tell us how you feel before the Sevilla game? Are you allowed to say anything?
See, I feel optimistic, and also very aware that a draw would be a good result, a good play from the youngsters, and having some of the vets understand what Xavi wants from them will be seen as an encouragement. 3 points would be Happy New Year, set off the fireworks, because I don't think anybody expects that necessarily, to walk away from Sanchez Pizjuan with 3 points. So we are a great team right now, and better than us, better position than us. So, but I'm feeling optimistic. I'm hoping that we can make it interesting.
Okay. Well, good luck. We got Real Madrid at San Mamés on Wednesday. We got Barca at Pizjuan on Tuesday. And we got a banger of a show on Friday, exclusively over on patreon.com/Churros y Tácticas. So we look forward to seeing you there on the inside. Diego, thank you, my man. It was fun. And we'll chat then. Peace.
Always. Peace out.